You are listening to the Outlaw Podcast with me, your host, Andrea Hall. I am a certified equine gestalt coach, speaker, 3-time author, and lawyer. I help women lawyers who are miserable in their career, struggling with mental and emotional health issues, wanting to have fun in their lives, and struggling to be selfish. After fulfilling my dream of being a criminal defense attorney and opening my own law practice right out of law school, I thought I had it all. While at the height of my career, my 18-month-old puppy died, and I thought, what am I killing myself for? Sometime later, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and my world turned upside down. It was in that moment I realized something had to change. This podcast is about sharing my journey with you about what is possible in your life outside the legal profession, stopping the adulting, and being able to play as a child, inspiring you to dream again. Let the journey begin.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Outlaw. The theme tonight is what is the lesson that has taken me the longest to learn. Again, what is the lesson that has taken me the longest to learn? Wow. As I've said in other episodes, this year has been starting off, and I know is going to continue to be a year of a personal birthing process. And I talked about the first 100 days in the first episode that I launched this year in what I was wanting to do and accomplish with regard to me, right? And my episode yesterday talked about my birthday and how I was spending me time, and that there was lots of self-reflecting and taking personal time for me, which is what I really wanted to work on this year, because I feel like there's something that is wanting to really come through me with being sick and just being at this standstill place in my life. And so, as far back as I can remember, patience was something that I did not have. And I can remember as a kid, pushing through things and wanting stuff to happen and never wanting to be patient and wait. In fact, one of my favorite sayings is, I can be patient as long as I don't have to wait. And that is so, so true. And this lesson has happened more times than I can count in my 47 years of my life, right? And one of the first ones that I've been tested on that was huge for me was law school. I wanted nothing more than to get accepted to law school. I remember graduating from undergrad. I was so excited. I filled out numerous applications to different locations, to, the University of Kentucky, where my dad was from, and the University of North Dakota, and I think KU, and a couple other places. And in the end, I was ultimately turned down to all of them. I was crushed, literally crushed. I was like, how is this possible? The only thing I ever wanted was to go to law school. And so I said, okay, and I went on with my life and thought, okay, something else is supposed to happen. I worked 3 jobs and I wasn't happy, and all I knew is I wanted to go to law school. And lo and behold, I was in a major horse riding accident, which I'll have to talk about it at a later date and time. However, in that horse riding accident, it brought me to a place of saying, you know what? I'll just pick up the phone and call the dean of the University of North Dakota and see if there's any way that I can get into law school. Now, mind you, several years had passed, and I said, we'll see what happens. And the dean of the law school said, you know what? We'll take your money. We don't think you're going to pass. However, we'll let you into law school. And that's all I needed to hear. I was like, game on. Like, you're going to let me into law school? Perfect. That's all I needed was my foot in the door, and I was going to make it happen. Well, another time that I had been tested, or have been tested since then, is after graduating from law school and passing the bar exam. Like, I think I killed every brain cell. Well, maybe I have a few more left, but I'm pretty sure I killed a lot. So I studied and took the bar exam. And how the bar exam works is they only offer it twice a year, in July and October. And you take the bar exam in July, and then you basically wait till September-ish time frame, October, and you find out if you passed or if you didn't pass. Well, there's not enough time then to take the bar again. You got to wait almost a whole nother year. And so I found out that I didn't pass by a handful of points. And I thought, are you kidding me? I took months studying for this damn thing. How did I not pass? And so I once again started studying for the bar exam. And this time, instead of studying 8 hours a day, I literally studied for 12 hours a day for 6 weeks. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to pass this time, right? And so I waited and I waited. And I remember thinking, what am I going to do if I don't pass? This is all I ever wanted to do was be a lawyer, right? Once again, patience is rearing its ugly head in my face. Well, I did pass the bar, and thankfully I didn't kill all of my brain cells. However, then it was, where am I going to get a job? How am I going to get a job? Who's going to hire me? And I remember going through that process for the next year, and no one wanted to hire me so that I could just focus on criminal defense. Everybody that I interviewed with said, you gotta do family law. And I was like, not only no, but hell to the no. I said, I would much rather deal with a murderer, a rapist, a child molester than anybody that's going through the divorce. Because in the criminal defense world, you get the worst people at their best. In family law, you get the best people at their ultimate worst. And not only that, they will spend every nickel, dime, and penny to get back at the other person. In fact, today I just saw somebody in one of the legal groups that I'm on Facebook saying, we spent an extra 2 hours in mediation arguing over $540 because the other spouse didn't want to cave for that $540. And in the end, they paid their lawyers approximately $2,000 to sit there and fight for $540 because they were so mad and upset at the other party. So, no, I didn't want to do family law. Well, that then got me to a place of, well, who's going to hire me? And nobody wanted to hire me just for criminal defense. And I thought, well, I sure as hell didn't go to law school and get myself this far in debt, kill all these brain cells passing the bar exam, to then go work for somebody and for them to tell me what I was going to do. So I then said, okay, I'll open my own law office. So I opened my own law office. Who does that? Who Who thinks that it's intelligent to open their own law office right out of law school? I guess that must be what malpractice insurance is for. I don't know. Yet I survived that. And then I was tested after I thought I had it all. Graduated from law school, had a career, owned my own law practice, was making decent money, and yet I didn't have a husband. Like, what was I missing? What tickets didn't I have? And once again, patience. Patience, my friend. And the movie Karate Kid, where he's attempting to catch the fly with his chopsticks, always comes up for me when I think about this journey around patience. And then my other struggle was wanting to have a child and that not happening. Can you relate to any of these things that I've just mentioned? If not, maybe you have something else that you're struggling with. And maybe the lesson is not patience, yet it's something else, right? And so for me, on this journey of patience, I've said to myself, what if I could be patient? What if I could stay in the present moment and not be in yesterday or 2 weeks from now, yet just being here in the now? And what if I could be okay with what is? Let me repeat that. What if I could be okay with what is? These are questions that I asked myself throughout my 47 years on any of the topics I've mentioned and other smaller things. And some say that the situations that I've been in have maybe been easier than others, yet those same questions persisted time and time again as I was traveling down this journey, right? And what I can tell you is that I am not a master. I do not have 10,000 hours in patience by any stretch of the imagination. Yet it is definitely a work in progress, and I know that the horses have helped me with that work. In fact, I can remember the first time that I experienced the work with the horses. I was so grounded, so centered, and so peaceful that my world completely disappeared. And I said, wow, if I can be out at the barn for 2 to 3 hours and it literally feels like 5 minutes, I want more of that. How do I have more of that in my life on a consistent basis? And that's really when my journey began. And how the journey with the horses have helped me with patience and staying in the present moment and ultimately being okay with what is was really around this journey of me wanting to have a child, me wanting to become a mother. And I shared this journey in my most recent book of equine coaching stories, Touched by a Horse Equine Coaching Stories, which can be found on my website. And so I'm only going to share just a little bit because you can find the rest of the story in my book. However, I shared how I was in Montana, I was at a beautiful ranch, and there was actually fires going on in Montana at that point in time. And the horses were very, very skittish because they were surrounded by smoke and, they're fight or flight animals. And so they were really on high alert that weekend. And I remember stepping up to do a piece of work with my coach, Melissa. And she said to me, "What's coming up for you?" And I said, "It's this desire for me to become a mother once again. Like, I can be patient and then I get frustrated. As I said earlier in this podcast, I can be patient as long as I don't have to wait. And so we started the piece of work, and I remember this terrible feeling and anxiousness, and I thought I was going to vomit. And she said, "It's okay, we're in the sand, let her rip." And I had tremendous anxiety inside of me that continued to bubble up. And it got to a place where she said, "Can you be okay if you don't ever have a child?" And I remember that I stopped like dead in my tracks, even though I was sitting. And I remember not even being able to say those words. It was so difficult for me to even feel like those words even wanted to come out of my mouth. And ultimately, we went through the Gestalt process, and I was at a place where I was finally getting to this lack of resistance, and a huge microburst came through the barn. Now, mind you, we had no wind all weekend long, and it came through, and Melissa looked at me and said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Absolutely, I felt that." And it was the first time that I really had this huge realization. It was like a 2x4 upside my head, right? And like I said, we finished the piece of work, and it was amazing. I was so peaceful by the time I was done experiencing my work with Jack. And the lesson I learned in that moment in time was to be okay with what is, and to allow what needed to happen. And it gave me great patience, and it gave me great relief from doing the work with the horse. And it's amazing what the horses can offer to us human beings, and the gifts that they have to give us, and how they teach us really to be in the present moment, because that's all they have, is being in the present moment, right? They constantly have to be on alert and paying attention to what's going on in that moment. They're not thinking about whether or not you're coming to feed them, or that you were 10 minutes late yesterday in feeding them, or are you going to be 10 minutes late in feeding them again today. They're really cognizant of what is going on in the here and the now. They're not bound by a calendar or a watch. And so for me, the lesson is allowing what needs to happen, and ultimately being okay, and that God has, a bigger plan. And so my question for you is, what is the biggest lesson you have learned, or still are potentially learning, because you're not quite a master yet and you're working on building that muscle? I would love for you to share with me in the comments below, what is that big lesson for you? I think we're all put on this earth, and we all have a journey, and we're here until we've completed that journey. And so for me, like I said, patience has been the biggest lesson. And I work on it on a regular basis. So I would love to hear your comments below on what your biggest lesson is. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Outlaw.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Outlaw. There is life after litigation. If anything I said in this episode resonates with you, call for a free exploratory session to see how I can help you. My horses will give you instantaneous feedback, unlike traditional talk therapy. You will shift your awareness into real time with the help of a horse. The horses are like lie detectors, flushing out limiting beliefs with a swish of their tail, a shift of their 1,200-pound body, or a simple unwillingness to move. Horses have a way of seeing into the window of our souls. Horses have been connected to humanity since the dawn of time. Their hearts can heal and mend our broken hearts. Simply standing in their presence can change our lives forever. Putting the puzzle pieces back together and returning us to wholeness. Horses are restoring the parts of us that have been missing. You can call us at 970-682-4405 to set up your appointment today. Want to be inspired daily? See about our latest events or purchase a copy of my books? Go to our website at www.witherswhisper.com. That's www.witherswhisper.com. Or you can follow us on any social media venue at Withers Whisper. Until the next episode, listen to the whispers.